Hello, everyone, and welcome to the summer 2026 launch show. We are now about ready to kick off a brand new season. This will be the 19th season of Armel. We've been through the inaugural beta several years, and we're keep on going. No matter what happens, the league continues on. We've expanded. There's been all sorts of action. We're going to go over some of it, but I am joined by Binyi,
Hi, Lee.
Dustin,
Hello.
and Nathaniel, who's also running the stream.
It's good to be back for another preseason show.
This is Korak, of course. So another action-packed season, craziness in A1, record set at the top, and a big polarization along the way. People fighting to survive in every division, double promotions, and all the things you come to expect from the American Reach Mahjong League, building the U.S. scene and hoping to make the international scene better. Of course, I came off a fairly recent trip to Vegas to participate in an M League event. That was pretty fun. The live tournament season ready to go. We have Richie Nomi coming up at the beginning of next month, so we hope to see some of you at that as well. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look starting at C2 of last season and what happened there.
Well, it was pretty dramatic. Of course, we're recapping everything that happened in each of the divisions last season. And for the C2 division, a big division, we can barely fit it on the screen here, but look at the number of double promotions that we got out of the C2 division. There were 5 players that finished not just over 200 points, but well over 200 points. Thomas, Xiao, Gregory, all finishing over 300 points and moving up twice from C2 directly into the B3 division. And it was intensely competitive, as you can see, with the huge scores being thrown around. But there were a number of bonus promotions given, and so a lot of people end up promoting out of the C2 division.
Yeah, this season C2 is crazy.
So
B,
you
I
see
know.
lots of polarization in the bottom division, and I just want to say 3 people at plus 300 is nuts. Yes, it's a pretty big division, but over 24 games, that is a lot of points.
Yeah, Thomas with 11 first places this season, Gregory with 12 first places, Maxwell and Sheng both with a large number of firsts. I have a question to you, Bingy, because I know you know this player. But one of these players does not sort of match the mold here. Xiao with over 300 points at only 6 first places. How did this happen?
Well, I mean, check the EV. That's the highest of all divisions.
Highest EV, and how are we getting there? It looks like the average win is crazy.
Yeah, average is crazy, win rate is crazy, and dealing rate is like decent. It's like high participate playstyle, but also play really like valuable hands.
This is sort
It's
of
usually if you like participate like 60% high with score plus reach rate, you will have a lot of cheap hand to pass some terms. But for Shao, you make like he not only participate in 60% of the hand, but also make each hand worth a lot.
yeah,
I just feel that's really the strength in the bottom divisions is if you can build that value, you will tend to climb. You don't need to win a ton of hands, but just an average level of hands is enough to get up there. But Thomas, Xiao, Gregory, Maxwell, and Sheng, all the double promotions, very strong season. You can see all the bonus promotions going all the way down there to Andy in 16th. Of course, some of those spots are due to the double promotions. You have to get those C1 spots filled somehow. So as long as you are in the positives, there is a chance for you, but you are not guaranteed it, as Kyle and Jesse can tell you here, sitting here and will remain in B2. Of course, we mentioned the term EV. That's kind of our internal metric we use, which is just your win rate times your win average minus your deal in rate times your deal in average. Gives a rough idea of how you're doing. 500 being pretty good, 800 being very strong. Anything over 1,000, you expect to do really well. And the only person here that kind of underperformed at the other end is Nicholas there with a 1,045, but couldn't quite get that double promotion. We got 5 double promos and 2 that were really close at that 190 mark.
Yeah, honestly, would not have surprised me to see Fred get the double promotion. He's been really active as a substitute player beforehand, even substituting in the A2 division, and also plays a lot of practice games in the practice games channel. Really tough opponent to go up against, so I'm not surprised to see the promotion. Almost got that double promotion, but look forward to seeing him continue to climb, as well as a number of these other players that we see here in the C2 division. It was a tough C2 this season. I mean, as mentioned in the chat, former Tendon here in the C2 division getting that double promotion. That was Xiao, who also scored the #1 highest scoring game in Armel this season, plus 122.7 in a single game, is certainly part of the reason why he was able to climb up to that double promotion zone. But yeah,
I heard another voice in there. Did Irie join us?
Yes, hello everyone. It's Heidi. Sorry I was a little bit late, but I'm here now.
All right,
just
so we're up to
noticing-
5 now.
Let's go.
I was just noticing some of these players having an above 25% win rate. So that usually happens when, players have a higher participation rate or, of course, really high efficiency, and also taking every edge they can get. It's especially nice to see some of them, even though they have really high win rate, they still have a reasonable defense stat too.
Yeah, shout out to Nicholas with the 7.6% deal-in average, just crazy low. Of course, Thomas, the top player, 8.8%. Anything sub 10 is amazing, but even 11%, 12%, depending on your aggressiveness level, is quite fine. And if we go down to the very last player that got that promotion, Andy, plus 12.5% on the deal-in side, only 19.5% on the win side, so that's a closer average, but Andy did exactly what you need to do when you're playing in the C2 division. And this is advice for all of the people that are joining into the summer season for the first time and joining into this massive C2 division. In the end, you really want to be in the top spots. You want to be in the guaranteed promotion zone. But if you can't get there, there's a decent chance that there will be some extra promotion spots. So even though it will look like there's only, 6 or 7 at the start, we can see they went all the way down to 14th this time. And the important thing is, in order to get one of those bonus promotion spots, you do need to have a positive score. So at the very end of the season, we saw a bunch of players doing a very good job of just getting to the positives. Jesse finished with plus 2.4, which wasn't good enough this season, but was just a couple placements off. Kyle got to 14.1, which was also just short, but Andy's 18.7 was good enough. Even though it doesn't look like a huge score, you always want to finish positive in the season. So that's a big goal at the end of every season, even if you are not in the positives.
Also, I'd like to say that I feel unfortunate. My heart burns and hurts and is in a lot of pain because my favorite name of anyone in the league, Pepe, unfortunately, they're in dead last, couldn't win a game. Unfortunate. I am definitely an advocate of Pei Tonki, especially, so it hurts me to see that.
Maybe the lack of Dora here is hurting, but a very high participation rate, so we'll look to maybe in the next season even out the win rate, get that higher than the deal-in rate. But yeah, a lot of newcomers this league getting that promotions, looking good, or getting close to promotions even.
Well, one of the things I see here is just the participation rate. 50% is relatively low for Armel. You see a whole bunch of people in the 40s at the very top here. That it really is about building that average value and winning a bunch of hands. And that seemed to be the way to dominate C2. Well, unfortunately, we don't have many clips this season. The peanut gallery was watching didn't help us too much, and I was focused on some other things. So we are short on clips. I don't think we have anything for the C division. We'll have some more for the later ones because we had some people helping us out at the beginning of the season. But as for C2, do we have any fancy hands, those Sun Baimon Plus?
We absolutely do. And in fact, this season was full of fancy hands, so we're going to see a lot of these. But let's head over to the Spring 2026 fancy hands for the C2 division. And this is our first one. We had this beautiful Suanko from Sheng, who had a pretty reasonable start. One Anko, 2 pairs, and suddenly turned into the nuts on turn 9.
I feel like the rest of the table is just all waiting on 2 5-pin, and then you see this and you're just sad.
Yeah, that's where my weight was. But yeah, big congrats to Sheng for his first Yakuman here in the C2 division. And it continues on. We've got this Sho Sushi from Thomas, our
This is the
winner.
classic. They don't have it. They don't have it. They don't. Oh, oops.
Look at the start. 3
I mean,
pairs
what
of
are the odds
wins.
that they have it, right?
That's always a
You have
question.
to think it's Tempai, but it hurts. It hurts. And this is one sitting there at 9,500 in South 3, and you're thinking, it's probably worth it if you deal to this, and it feels really bad. Still, congratulations to Thomas with a huge win here to take that to 61,000 in dominant position.
All right, another.
That's my boy.
Is Thomas from your club, Dustin?
He is. He was even part of my team during this local team event. That's part of his the reason for his dominance.
Excellent. Well, now I know
Oh.
why he's so strong. He's got that the flow built up from the hub over in Dustin's territory.
And here we see Michael with another Suonko, beautiful Yakuman. Also note, above the name, each one of those stars is a Yakuman, and each triangle is a Sanbaimon. So this is someone who builds big hands a lot.
Yeah, I want to shout out Michael, by the way, from the Arizona region, has recently become the representative for the Arizona club to the American Ricci Association. So he's doing really good stuff out there in Arizona alongside Ross, and their group has been building massively. They've got a league running now, and really enjoy watching the players that are hopping in from Arizona into the American Ricci Mahjong League and pulling things like this Yakuman. But I do think that is it in terms of fancy hands.
All right. Well, unless
right.
there's anything else to say
What do you got,
here.
Dustin?
I noticed something interesting, so I did a little bit of digging. And because Korak, you were talking about how your heart was hurting earlier. I'm gonna have to hurt it a little bit more because I was intrigued how Thomas's EV was so high with this low participation rate. He is a significantly above average Dama rate. Dama win
Unclean,
rate, rather.
unclean, boo, hiss.
Because someone like you would have, I'd imagine, 0 to 2%. Thomas, on the other hand, in that season had nearly 10% Dama win rate, which I don't think it shouldn't really be
Wow.
reflected in the participation rate. It's
Let me
not
pull up
really a
my
call or a
all-time.
Ricci.
Okay, so my all-time, I have 440 Armal games. My Dama win rate is 2.4%. League average is 7.3. So I'm about the third of league average, showing how much I do not approve. But it seemed to work out well for Thomas. First place here, 316. We'll get the double promotion off of this, and we'll be heading to B3 in the summer season. Well, with that, let's go ahead and move to C1. And another 300 result here in C1, although we only had 2 double promotions. So a little close. Another person at 190. We had 2 of those in C2. James a little short here, only gets a single promotion, but just super active. 28.4% win rate, 14.7 deal end rate, huge call rate, huge Ricci rate, participation rate, all those numbers in that red signifying the top or near the top of the division, just active in every hand and just short.
Yeah, this was clutch for a number of players here. I want to shout out Josue, who has had some extremely good in-person tournament results. Was also one of the players that went to that tournament in Las Vegas, the collaboration with M League, and finished in the top 8 there. So huge shout out to him. Also, in Armal, was below the 200-point mark in the very last game, needed a clutch positive score in order to get the double promotion, and clutched it in the end. And does pick up that double promotion from C1 directly past B3 into B2. James falling just short, but getting the promotion. Ray and Mark also getting the promotion. Carter getting that promotion as well after a great start to the season. I think did Carter win the first Yakuman of the season? Definitely had a huge.
It was definitely early on, and the promotion go all the way down to TC at 8.8. Again, not everyone of the positives got one, but 8.8 was good enough. TC will make it out, even with only an 18.2% win rate and 14% deal-in rate. So just barely scraping through, but good enough.
And also, we watched those games on our stream at the end of the season. TC pulling in another clutch win in order to get from the negatives into the positives, and ended up getting that promotion as well. Catherine was on the borderline and did the same thing. So great job by these players playing to their goals. Michael as well did an excellent job managing to stay in the positive zone, even if it wasn't good enough this time. If TC hadn't made that last second positive result, it would have been Michael with the promotion at plus 2.9.
Well, I look at this division, the Ricci rate's a little higher than league average. So the reason for that is just the 28.8% of James kind of single-handedly skewing the statistics here. Overall, one thing I notice is the win rate is significantly lower than average. So I believe that means they just had a lot less draws.
Division.
Oh, someone's staticking.
Oop, that's probably me. Yeah, it's interesting to see that the C1 is composed of players that dropped out of the B3 division, dropped down, or came up from the C2 division, and we've seen that the C2 division is stronger and stronger every single season. Like because it's composed of the players that are hopping into the league, the players that are joining the league are very experienced. We saw it this season. And so that means that C1 gets tougher and tougher to beat as well. And I do see a lot of really experienced players here in the division.
Also a bit of a dogfight there on the demotion line. I know Blaine was worried about it going in. Managed to hold on an 18th spot, but Benjamin, Nicholas, Nick, Tellison, and Brendan will go down. On the other hand, as mentioned, TC goes up along with Catherine, Michael, Charlie, Carter, Mark, Ray, and James. Of course, the double promotes we talked about already. But overall, we talk about EVs, our internal statistic, and it's generally a pretty good idea of how you're doing. And you can see a very close resemblance on that EV line to where they are in the standings.
Yeah, super strong correlation there. One of the funny stories from the C1 division was actually Brendan, who unfortunately had a rough season this time. But part of that is because he saw like 3 Yakumans at his tables, and he wasn't even necessarily the one dealing into those. He just saw them happening. It's like, when am I going to get my own, right? When am I finally going to get my time? But yeah, there were definitely some fancy hands here in the C1 division.
The other thing I just want to say is you can see in brackets some of the people who have duplicate names of other people in the league. This is to distinguish them. And you see people from New Jersey, Kansas, Wisconsin, people from all over the country involved in Armel. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
All right, as mentioned, we don't have any clips in the C division. Please help us during the season clip things, or else we get really awkward like this. So we can only look at the numbers here, but we do also have a set of fancy hands.
And boy, do we have a set of fancy hands. Let's start off with this Yakuman. Here in the C1 division, we have Carter. He did have the first Yakuman of the season. This Daisangen very early on. I think it was in the first session. Classic.
Just the hidden Haku, 2-so. It's not a great tile, but you see a couple 3-so out there. Dustin, what do you think about throwing that tile near the 3-so late?
It's incredibly dangerous, obviously.
Incredibly dangerous. Well, in this case, it certainly was. Carter, the beneficiary of that 2-so for the full 32,000 points. Okay, we have Kokushi. This one from Ray.
Yeah, just Ricci and then deal it on the next tile to dealer Yakuban. Ow.
Oh, that hurts. I mean, it's one thing when you get chased and you deal in to a Ricci that was after you, but to deal into a hand after a Ricci this big is gotta hurt so much more.
You're so optimistic about your own chances. You are Ricci, you are the threat. Turns out there was a bigger fish.
48,300. You see Ray there with being the second Yakuman, so congratulations.
That was part of his promotion run.
And that's the second Kokushi of Ray as well.
Oh, what do we
This
have
is
here?
Ember, who of course helps run the league, programs the bot, very helpful setting up the channels. Useful Volunteer has subbed in for a large section of the C1 division and hits the Yakuman here. And even if it wouldn't have been a Sumo, still in a very expensive hand here. East, Dora 3, Sananko, Toy, but hits the Sumo for the Yakuman.
Very nice.
Yeah, I feel like
Fancy
Ember
Patsu too.
would have won this division if they had been playing the whole time, or if they were an actual player. It was just a dominant season as a substitute. Let's see.
Well, as a
I've talked
sub,
to Ember
getting
before.
a Yakuman as a sub is crazy. I think we might have had another one like that.
Yeah, we've had a few subs hit Yakuman. I've talked to Ember before, and the problem with their game has always been just a little too scared to fight, but you don't have to fight too much. We just hit Yakuman.
Yeah, plus 282.8, just a dominant season. All right, we've got more. They really didn't stop with these Yakumans. Here's Catherine with a huge Suanko as well. Oh, always nice to
Also,
hit.
3 Dora and the
Exactly.
Haku. Similarly, a lot of Dora in here. Frog Lady, also love the name there. But when in doubt, just Sumo, especially if it's Yakuman.
Yeah, and this ended up being a really important pickup, as we'll see when we go back into the standings. But we're not done yet. We have another Kokushi, this time from Justin. You know, I
The
usually...
zero overflow Kokushi, I would like to add.
Yeah, when I think about Justin and big hands, I'm usually thinking like 3-con, Sankansu, Dora Million, but no, Kokushi works too.
Easiest way to redeem an irredeemable hand, just get everything from bad to worse, and a slightly rare Yakuman here, the Suiso.
Finally, this was near the end of the season. Brendan got one back. He says, I've seen 3 Yakumans. Let me get one of my own.
And we'll get 32,000 from this. I guess dealer doesn't have to pay out the Ricci stick, but congratulations to Brendan on second Yakuman here.
And that is finally it from the fancy hands. C2 had plenty. All Yakuman too.
It's how you get the score. It's how you climb. The value of one Yakuman's basically more than a first. 15-5, -5, -15. And of course, with the Uma split, can be more than that. And overall here, the story is 2 double promotions, bunch of single promotions, and fairly aggressive style. Those big Richis coming in, and a bunch of Yakuman.
All right, great stuff, C1.
All right, let's head to B3 then. And Yukfai picking up the double promotion along with David, plus 200. We talk about all these 190s. Another one here, Frederick, not quite there. 198. Oh, no. Just a single promotion to B2 will take it, though. Promotions go all the way up through Yisheng there in 12th. 39.4 is good enough. On the other end, a few demotions as well. And can't do too much about it. Carly certainly fighting as much as possible with that 66.5% participation rate, 25.5% win rate, but the problem is the deal-in was so high, could not overcome.
And you know, with a smaller division size, you get away with it. A lot of these divisions are 24, but this one was 28, so there was one extra promotion spot and one extra relegation spot. Unfortunately, Carly got popped by that, but definitely a fighting season, especially with that 25.5% win rate. The kind of outlier there, third highest it looks like in the entire league. And across the board, though, it looked like it was fighting Mahjong throughout. We had some 26% win rates up at the top, and really strong deal-in rates. They start to increase as we go down the list, but still good for the promotion for Frederick, Ty, Cameron, and Andrew. And
yeah, you can see on that top level, the deal-in rate for this division was significantly higher than the league as a whole. This was fighting Mahjong.
As we got close to the end of the season, the big story was going to be who was going to get that 7th spot, that guaranteed promotion spot. And Jinan did a really good job of putting himself in position for that and managed to hang on. And of course, as often happens with the lower divisions, the bonus promotions kicked in, and a bunch more people got to go up, including Tara, Emily, Andy, and Icheng, who just squeaked it out there, plus 39.4. But again, being positive when you're in the C2 division, C1 division, B3 division, those are really important goals.
I feel win average wasn't that determinant because you see some of those near the bottom, some near the top, a couple in the middle. It really feels like how much were you dealing in and how much were you paying out. That those strong correlations between those 10, 11, 12% deal in rates and the promotions is very clear. All right. Well, I think we do actually have a clip now for B3, so let's take a look at that.
Yes, I do believe there was some creative play on show here in the B3 division.
So we're just gonna take the one away from Onitsu. This might even be Chinitsu if we draw the 7, so it's a perfect Chinitsu hand.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I was wondering why you didn't suck. Why they didn't suck you give you the 8. So
There it is. This is Chinitsu Shanten. We're just gonna keep it. But the 7 pin is gonna deal no.
No.
We're gonna reach you 1 turn later.
What? Damas and Sumogiri Richis? What? Huh? What has the world become?
It's a 4/7 pin. Wait.
Sumo.
Ipatsumo! What?
What?
He skipped the run so he could Ipatsumo!
Wow!
Second place, Ross, the magician. Oh my goodness.
Wow! I was not thinking about that at all. I was like, what did the Dama?
Passes
just
the
gonna take the one
Pinfu
away
win,
from Onitsu.
but hits the
Fine.
Patsumo as a result. Says, I don't just want second place. I want a positive score and a play for first.
And I love the reaction from UID and David. It was hilarious. From
I mean-
what's going on to just yelling. It's great.
I mean, that's the thing. You never question someone's flow because they're the one who's playing. They're the one who can see into the future. And you know, Ross, the magician, as he's called, absolutely just knows, has the extra goggles, and just gets it.
Yeah, I do remember
1 turn.
the Dustin method. I do remember watching Ross play early on when he first joined the league and saw him pull stuff out of the hat like a magician. It was crazy, and good to see he's continuing that here in the B3
The only
division.
thing that's missing was the aura. That would have been first place, but still a very impressive pull and good enough to get a positive second out of that. Well, I don't think there's anything else, so let's head to.
Some
Do we have some
fancy hands?
fancy hands? Yeah.
I'm sure we do. This season was crazy. Everyone was going for the monsters and hitting as well. Let's see what we have from the B3 division. How about a Suanko?
What about a Sanzo Suanko?
The last Sanzo too. What is the door indicator? Tanya as
I mean,
well.
it's just a fancy Tanyao.
Everything comes back to Tanya in the end. Congratulations to
That is
Casey.
everything does not come back to Tanya. Everything was already Tanya. We just never
It
left.
starts with Tanya, but that was Yakuban number 1 for Kason, so congratulations. Then we get this one.
I'm imagining, you know, that meme where they have like all green Swanko Tanki and they just say Tanya.
Tanya can end it all, but it's the way Tanya will not end is a Yakuban here, where Riley picks up a huge win on a 13-sided Kokuji Muso.
And this is,
Wow.
you know, in Armor, we don't give double Yakuban for 13-sided, but follow the World Ricci rules pretty closely. But still incredible to get a 13-sided. And you know what? This is not the
Does
only
get the
13-sided
gold
this season.
title, the gold font there up the top
Yeah,
with
that's
the
fantastic.
Yakuman name.
Yeah, that's what matters, right?
And, of course, the Yakuban. You just can't dodge this.
I mean, I like how we went.
you're trying to face the Ricci as like, okay, we're not going to throw anything bad. There's no overflow here. The Kokushi's not there. Oh, I dealt in. That's unfortunate. Wait, they all dealt in? 13 sided? Wait, that's not fair.
It's funny because it went 9-so, 9-so, Hatsu. Like any of those would have dealt in if they had been Tenpai. Craziness.
I like how we went from a Tanyao Yakuman to the anti-Tanyao Yakuman.
I guess that still
Well,
starts
you
with
didn't have a
Tanya, right?
Shuiso either. That feels like anti-Tanyao as well.
You say, is this
Mhm.
Tanya? No, so it's the opposite. Alright, how about this one? This looks like a Tanya.
This looks
Wait,
like a
what?
San Baimon. That is a Tanyao. Just hit Ura. Reach. Shiba Pinfu Tanyao Dora 4, Ura 3. Doesn't even need the Ipatsu. Good enough to be Sanbaimon anyway. You see tests now with a Sanbaimon along with a Yakuman earlier. A very beautiful hand. That's the type of hand that I feel I could get. Yakuman are kind of beyond me, but maybe sumoing a Dora for a Sanbaimon could eventually happen to me.
Gonna reach your next Chinitsu hand to get that Urasan for Kazue.
Okay, there's a problem with that, and that
It's
is
the one time he's dumbing.
call. No, you assume I do not call
That's
first and think
true.
about Yakuman.
Alright,
second.
double reach Chinitsu. That's the only
There
way.
we go. Double Richipatsu, Sumo, Chinitsu, or a 3. Easy game.
Keiko Itsudora 3 out.
Surely.
Yep, Tanya.
That has to be Tanya.
Tessier
Alright.
with a Yakuman and a sub by now to the name. Let's take a look at this Suanko from Tai.
It's all Tanya.
You were right. It is
As far
just
as the
Tanya.
eye can see, it's all Tanya.
And look at this high pie. 1 pair. The first draw was a pair. And suddenly Suanko. How do you even get these draws?
It's called Tanya Brain. It is something I'm definitely guilty of. I'm just not good enough to continue drawing like this.
Yeah, you can
Tai, on the other hand, can pull it out.
kind of see the pattern. First drop all the honors, and then look at your hand and see what it looks like. And suddenly the Suanko appears before your eyes. All right, let's see. John.
More Kokushi, and you see there some Baimon and 3 Yakuman. John has been building them up and hits a beautiful one here. 32,000, sending the player across into the negatives. Probably thinking, oh, the dangerous hands that Chinitsu. Again, a 0 overflow Kokushi. Is that the third we've seen?
It's 0 overflow. The tune just came out. 1 tile later, it's no longer safe. It's worth 32,000.
Free 32,000, free 32,000. Basically the same thing.
All right, we got one more here for the B3 division. It is this Sanbaimon hand from Ross, who pulled out another rabbit.
The valid Sanma Honitsu in Manzu.
Yeah, this is. I'm only surprised that there's no con here. I kind of anticipate that when I see a Ross highlight, but this time it was just the natural toy Yakuhai.
Not only that, this
Honoto.
is a Suji.
That's true.
This is Suji.
Suji trapped 9-mon.
It's a crazy hand too because it's turn 6, so there's barely any time for people to be like, okay, I mean, surely he's not Tempa yet.
And
just called
desperately
so
needed here,
fast.
you see 6,000 points. And surprise, when he had over 24,000 into second place here, going into all last.
Yeah, that certainly fixes a lot. So Ross making the highlight show twice here in our B3 division. But
All right, I think we can go ahead and check out B2. Of course, B2 has the issue that you do not get double promos into the A leagues, so you can only get a single promotion in B2. And there it is. Donald, Gary, Ichika, Max, Will, Eric, Matthias, and Andrew will go up another 190. Here it doesn't matter quite as much because there are no double promotions out of B2. But you see here win rate, except for Joe. Poor Joe, who's just been kind of suffering for a while, was in A1 for what, 2 years? And is now going to be heading to B3. Unfortunate. However, one of those players that could definitely make the Tucker run back down to B3 and then back to A1.
Yeah, we've seen it before. It happens. Sometimes you just get in a little bit of a rut and the game's not going your way. And then it clicks back again and you zoom right back up as we saw Tucker pull. So we have precedents.
Can happen. Of course, I also noticed Edwin in there, sitting there in 15th, will be in B2 again this season. Couldn't really pull everything together, but I think just needs to work at the Ricci rate at the 13.1. You can get away with a low Ricci rate, but you gotta have some things going your way, and Edwin unfortunately didn't.
Well, actually, I saw that Edwin has already played a couple games this season. First, 0 Ricci's.
Wow.
As long as he's called every hand, that's fine.
We'll see how it goes for the rest of the season. But of course, shout out to all these promoting players. It looks like the promotions dipped down to 8th place here with Andrew getting that. And it feels like, kind of deserved. You make it up to 134 points. Feels like you should get the promotion when there's a big gap between you and the next player in line. And so glad that it worked out this way for Andrew. But Matthias going up, Eric going up to B1 division. Will has been on the steady climb, one step at a time, and from this point forward, there's only one step increments because there are no more double promotions. But good to see Max going back up, Ichika going back up again.
Ichika's been someone who's been kind of underperforming in Armold, fallen down to B3. SPM Pro had been trying to put it back together, and look at the spread. 28% win rate, 10% deal-in rate.
Fantastic.
Very strong performance.
Yeah, highest EV of this division as well, which is not surprising with these numbers. But yeah, looked very strong this season, absolutely. And also, just looking at the call and Ricci rate difference, pretty average call rate and high Ricci rate. So this is the sort of I feel like this is more of the standard pro style.
Well, no, this division is low Ricci rate.
Yeah, I was just looking at Ichika's numbers specifically. Okay, yeah. But yeah, very, very like pro style Ricci heavy meta compared to, some of the other playstyles like mine, which is very call heavy. Perhaps that pro training is influencing the playstyle.
Well, 34% feels fairly high for a pro. Then again, you ignore people like you and me, who I guess are WRPM pros. We're like, 40's nothing. Keep going.
Yeah, we see another SPM pro, Donald, of course, with the low call rate, high Ricci rate. And so very, very natural to aim for Ricci as your main way to collect points in a league that has no red Doras.
Yes, and of course, that is one of the big things about WRC style rules is Ipatsu and Ura are really strong. If you don't have those red Dora, building Yaku gets you so far, but if you can add Ipatsu, Ura Dora, Menzen Suma, it really stacks up quickly. All right, well, I think we do have a clip for V2.
Do we now? Indeed we do. Let's take a peek.
You're depending on them all to make your hand. Do you feel like sometimes it might be better to just take the pawn to have a wider sort of shape?
Yeah, I personally like the pawn in that situation, but having drawn the 2-so, it actually looks pretty good. Could she here for Tenpai, waiting on the 8-so? We'll take the Shi and take the Tenpai. We do have Tenpai on the left as well, waiting on the Dora itself. That's a pretty vulnerable spot, but there's one copy of the 8-so, and it's going to come out. She needs to Dora 3.
She needs Dora 3. Peter gets a Baiman off of Ricky. Going to pay dearly for that 8-so Tenpai cut. Now you're depending on.
Just ouch. It looks Tanyao. Yeah, the 7-pin looks weird in the 9-9, but it's not cheated. Uh-oh. It is Shidetsu.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell that that's the case here. And also, you have 3 people Tenpai on a Kanchan in the Sozu. One of them's going to come out, right? Turns out it was the 8-so, the most natural of the bunch. 6, 7, and 8 all dealt in. This was the one that found its way.
Shinichi
I mean,
Dora
it does
3
make
Baimon.
sense because after someone cheese the 5, you don't really expect them. I mean, you expect the 5 to be more dangerous, right? Not the 8. So if you're planning to keep Tenpai, yeah, it makes sense to discard the 8. Also, doesn't give you Furitan on the 9.
This ended up causing Ricky problems. I think he even ended up demoting, this being a big part of it. Unfortunate there, but you just see all these Tanya. Okay, well, the problem is I also have Tanya. What do I do?
Yeah, just actually looking at the standings of the side, this is halfway through the season, and Ichika's in the negatives here. But
Ichika
And
came back
going on
strong.
a tear.
Really happy to see Ichika promoting.
yeah, this was a big one, this first place, and they just went on a run at the end of the season. And that's, a really important thing in a league format. Again, for the players that are just joining this season, you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to have a positive score every single session. You just have to find the right session to get the positive score. You have to find the right moment to take your points. You don't have to overpress. I think that's one of the biggest challenges is if you get off to a rough start, there's this internal pressure to go overboard, to push hands that you think are probably too risky, but you kind of are desperate, right? If it's still early in the season, you don't have to take those extra risks. You can take it patient and wait until it gets a little bit later in the season before you have to start taking the extra risks. Because, as we saw from Ichika here and a number of other players, playing your game, if it's a good, if it's strong play, it will in the long run pay off. And it certainly did here for Ichika. And if you overpress too early, you could find yourself in just a bigger hole to escape from.
When you're in a hole, what's the first thing you should do?
Stop digging.
There you go.
Yeah, great advice, and definitely recommended for the players that are just joining. Get off to a rough start. Find your game. Play your game. Don't force yourself to do something unusual.
All right, let's go ahead and check out some fancy hands.
That's right. And of course, we're expecting to see a tremendous number of fancy hands from this division as well, because all these divisions were crazy this season, but there's actually only 2. Here is our first.
2 Sanbaimon and 3 Yakumon. As I recall, Denny actually won the Yaku decks, the only person who completed all Yaku, except for the individual Yakumon. Yakumon rolled into one, but all of the non-Yakumon and score Yakumon, and not just 1, but 3 total. A beautiful Suanko here on Dora, facing a possible Chinitsu across the way, and just, I'll draw it and make you pay out 16,000. Thanks.
Yeah, there's not a lot of hands that you want to fight against a dealer Chinitsu with, but Suanko is one of them. All right, let's take a peek at that second hand. Another Kokushi.
1 pin, angry with Shizu noises. 1 pin, of course, the Tile of Destiny. Suji to the Ricci here says, well, we're not really worried about dealer. The 6 is kind of a little suspicious. Throw a tile right by Dora, but it's half Suji with the 9. It's probably 5. Uh-oh.
And it was not indeed fine. And this was...
Congratulations, Gary, on your first Yakuban in Armel.
That's right, 48,000 to the good, and Gary got that promotion spot we saw at plus 180, so moving to the B1 division alongside the Yakumon. All right. Shall we move forward?
Go ahead and head to B1 now. And you start to see some very familiar names. You say, wait, this is B1? It is. Koichi ends up winning B1. He's just kind of sat around in the lower divisions, hasn't taken Armel that seriously, and said, okay, I think I'm going to put my head down and try and focus a little bit. And you're seeing Koichi unleashed. 30% win rate.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
10.6 deal in.
Oh my god, 30% win rate. I don't think I've ever seen anything higher than that.
Almost completing the ladder award as well. Only 1 4th place this season.
Oh, who's that guy in second?
Now, who is that guy?
Who? It's someone. I couldn't imagine that person being in B1, but it happened somehow.
Well, it's because last season A2 was utterly cursed. The fight of the if you list the people that were involved in that fight, someone had to go down.
There were like 4 or 5
It
Apollo
was
players
Max,
on the
Lucas. There were a couple others. I was
Jesse.
like, yeah, Jesse.
I think Dennis and Dustin, of course, were in that zone. And guess who's going right back up? Dustin, Jesse, Dennis, DeLong, everyone who Michael X. I think everyone that demoted from A2 promoted right back up.
Yeah, salty run back to A2. Dustin performing quite well here with a 26.5% win rate. 900 EVs, a few places in this division, 800s everywhere. But it feels like this division is just win hands, go up, easy game.
Historically, the B1 division has been one of my favorite ones to watch every single season because it has a nice mixture of playstyles. But at this point, we're getting to territory where B1 is like the new A2, and the percentage of players in the B1 division that are continuous A2 achievers is getting really high now. It is not a fun time anymore for the players in B1.
Well, I want
It
to
is
point out near the
cutthroat.
bottom, Caden sitting there at minus 175.6. WRPM Pro Alon
Or SPM
minus
Pro.
223. These are not bad players. These are very good players getting absolutely destroyed in B1.
Yeah, I see 2 SPM pros and a WRPM pro who are getting relegated out of B1, and of course that happens. You can't expect that you're going to have an easy ride of things every single season. And these are players that are really good at winning games. And when you see Caden with 1 first place and Alon with 4 first places, you can kind of get the picture of what a challenging season it was, just not getting the tiles this time around. But just as we
At
saw.
the same time, there was a dogfight on that demotion line.
Oh, absolutely.
Peters from Charm City Ricci, I know him personally, and he was sweating out his last game. Dylan, same thing, less than 1 point from demotion.
And this happens every time in B1, which is why I love this division. It's always tight at the top, and it's always really tight on that relegation zone. That last game matters every single season. It's so much fun.
And of course, next season to be one, you see a couple names there that you just don't want to have to play. Rachel and Ada, 2 of the people I'm kind of scared of if I ever have to play them, because either of them can go off for a plus 400 season and they can go off for a minus 400 season. Incredibly volatile. They will take points. They are generally very greedy.
Rachel's last session of this spring season was crazy. She almost got herself from the negatives into a promotion spot just with insane finish, which is a Rachel classic. Of course, we expect that sort of session from Rachel.
I feel like I even said this during, like, while we were watching her. It's like, oh, she's not doing well right now, but like, if anyone can bring it back up, it's definitely Rachel.
I also want to shout
End up
out
with a positive score, but not enough to get the promotion. Tony Z and above will be heading to A2.
Yeah, it'll be good to see Jesse back in A2, making the run towards A1. And also, I want to shout out Caleb, who is hitting A2 for the first time. Got there with 8 firsts and 8 fourths. Part of the reason for that is the first portion of the season was dominant. Had some, not just first places, they were big first places. So he could afford to eat some points at the end. Got a little bit scary, but actually just solid play all the way through the last couple of sessions to confirm that promotion spot. It'll be good to see him playing in A2 for the first time.
Longtime A1 player Zalong will also be going up with that 30% Ricci rate.
the classic Ricci rate higher than your call rate.
I still remember Zalong one time jumped to the voice chat because I was doing log reviews. Like, I'm a very open player. I'm definitely not Menzed, and I take a look at that. And just say, no, you're wrong. And I ripped him in the call for about 5 minutes, explaining why he was wrong on that. And compared to some pros, especially that may have 22% call rates, but certainly not for Armel. You see up there at the very top, 33 being the average. But a 30% reaching rate is absurd.
Zilong's such a great guy. I actually got to, I played against him a lot in A1. I got to watch a lot of his games on the broadcast. But I've had the opportunity to meet him and play in person at a couple tournaments. And every single time we play, he beats me. His reachies are always better than mine. But yeah, really, really fun person to play against. And that reachy heavy style is so scary because you know that nothing is safe. If you are Tempai with a medium weight, medium value, it's not safe. It's not safe. He will chase you with something better, and he's going to beat you. And so, strong performance here from Zilong to get that promotion, as well as Alex getting up there, I think, for the first time, and of course, Tony getting up there for the first time. It's going to be a good A2 next season.
All right, I think we have a clip for B1.
We do indeed.
Do we know?
Tanya,
I guess.
or pure straight.
Or yeah.
Or pure straight. Both options work. See that, and this is why we have two commentators. We see different things.
The five and cons and it's Changcon!
We see a Changcon!
Of course, it's Dustin winning the Changcon on the 5-pin.
Changcon Chun. That's it. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
That was hilarious. Can we get an instant replay, please, if possible?
We could
that
at
was
the
Dustin
time, but
winning a Changcon. That is not Dustin's first Changcon of Armel. I know he won one off of Harrison in a different
Off
game.
of Harrison!
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I think that one was a hell wait. This one I was like waiting a turn, but I feel like that's Ada. She would have just I missed out on the Ricci Patsu. I think she would have done it anyway.
yeah, this is it was really fun to have ID and Ichika on the commentary for this one because we got good reactions from it. Also, yeah, subtitles for this one. I think ID, you got this clip.
Mhm.
We appreciate your service. We're lacking in clips.
I'm trying my best.
It's funny to see John Kong there though as the subtitle.
I mean, going for that Toy Tanyao, because it's all Tanyao. Always has been, always will be. Also, just short of the bubble Barb, sitting with that 6,500 win average rather, but the DLN was too high to overcome. Same issue with Rachel, the DLN just a little bit too high.
Yeah, but these are some players. I mean, there are a lot of players here, I think, that would just be absolutely unstoppable if you could just manage the deal-ins a little bit. If you could just lower that by 2%, 3%, it would just be unstoppable.
I will say this, Irie. Yes, you have addressed the same problem. You have gotten much better on it than what I know of you from a couple years ago.
Yeah,
which is why you're in A2 and competing for A1.
So when I started playing the game, I didn't really have anything to guide me, or there wasn't much content out there. And also, I was a streamer for a lot of it. And so I, ranked up on my own sort of through Adept and through Expert. And I didn't really have the best discipline. And also I was a streamer, so I was farming clips. And then that bled into my competitive games. But I'm now finally cleaning up my game, becoming truly a great player, I think.
Yeah, love to see the Armel training arc. I really do value Armel as a way to connect to other people, see their playstyles, and see extra resources to new ideas to improve.
So I've never made it to A1, but I've also never demoted, I'm pretty sure. So yay.
I mean, that's a plus, right? If you never demote, then eventually you got to make it to A1, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the season. I'm telling you.
You heard it here, folks.
All
This
this
season,
division a little aggressive, high win average, high deal in average. EV a bit above league average. Few calls, but less reaches. And the reason for that is you see there, right around Andrew and below, you see a whole bunch of 17s, 15s, 16s, bring the average down, but not like ridiculous numbers here. The ridiculous numbers are at the top, especially Koichu with that 30% win rate. There's a long 28% win rate, even with a 30% reaching rate. Caleb doing well, Dustin, Alex, Dennis, etc. They just win hands, and that was good enough.
Yeah, I had a disgustingly high Dama rate of 15% that season.
Oh my god.
Please bail my heart out. Go
Fancy
to
hands. Let's
Fancy
do it.
Hands.
Let's do it. All right. So fancy hands. Of course, we had some from our B1 division. The first is not a Yakuban. How about Richi Patsu Dora 9?
Dora Tonki will do it. Richipatsu Dora 4 or a 3, no more Urasan. But gets the Sambaimon off of it. Just wait on Dora Tonki. Easy game.
I feel like Caleb was dancing around with the Tonki weight, and then against this Richi, and then drew the door and is like, well, I'm not changing it anymore now, so I guess I'll Richi, and then it's the Ipatsu 4. So that was part of the reason why he got off to such a great start. Already at 46,000 points in second of all things, and then hit this Sambaimon to jump over.
Not in second anymore.
That's his first fancy hand, by the way. Caleb doing it the honest way up until this season. This time getting.
I mean, I don't know how you can call it honest when you draw the 5-pin Ankon, con
Well,
it.
said
and then
up
get
until
Thor 4.
now.
Yeah, of course.
We'll see. We'll hope for more fancy hands from Caleb as he enters 8-2. But we've got a big one this time. Daisongen, Ada, of course.
Just draw the last dragon. Pulls it in. There are actually 2 in the wall of the Hatsu. You see the calls here, and then the Sumo and Hatsu, you go, oh no, it's double. Okay, at least it's only single Yakuman. Easily could have been double with that pond.
Yeah, just the
And those sets of calls.
perfect start for it with the 5 dragon copies. And of course, when you draw that 6th copy, you're looking good. But when you get a high power like this, I'm thinking maybe I could beat Sui. So even, as you said, definitely potential for more. But just the single Yakuman, I say just, it's 48,000 points.
It's 48,000. Leave some for the rest of us there, Nathaniel. The people who don't leave some for the rest of it's Daniel there with a Sambaimon, and this is the 5th Yakuman.
Yeah, Daniel knows how to put these hands together. This Yakuman, just the Shosanka, not the full Daisanka in here, but you don't need it when you've got Dora 4 along with everything else you could possibly want.
Beautiful hand here. Just draw the Chud. Easy game. Kazue Yakuman. Very rare.
Yeah, again, without Aka's, fewer ways to get to that Kazue. Right, is this another Daizangen?
It is Barb pulling another Hatsu. The bold Richi by dealer saying, well, I sure hope I don't draw the Hatsu and throw it to Barb. Says, you don't need to. I got this. I'll just draw it myself.
In South 4, by the way, to jump past 3 players into first, from 4th to 1st in one hand.
Not only that, but because the Sumo knocks everyone else under 30,000 and gets a plus 20 from the Uma off of it. Too.
So the Yakuman itself is 32,000 points. Passing 3 players with the Uma bump is plus 35. So this was a plus 65 hand.
And the Richi
Plus
stick.
66. This might be the most valuable single-handed arm. I guess maybe there's some other...
Yeah, we've had a double Yakuman
That's true.
before.
Fantastic here from Barb. And we have one more, and this one's insane. Are you ready for this? Turn 5, turn 4, 13-sided Kokushi.
Turn 5.
There's a call. Turn 5, 13-sided Kokushi. What?
Yeah. So
And if the non-pawn on
you're
the table-
losing. Sorry,
And if the non-pawn on
you're
the table-
losing. Sorry, you
All
got
I'm
the
gonna
wrong
say
sheet.
is food is eating good.
I mean, if this wasn't Tenho, I'd say this is rigged, but dealer, turn 5, 13-side cook sheet. Now I know why Tony got the promotion.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. Nothing more to say. This is just absolutely fantastic. This is second Yakuman, by the way, for Tony.
Gets the gold font there up at the top with the 13-sided Kogoshi. Beautiful hand, and you can't blame him for dealing into
Nope.
that. It's what are you supposed to do?
I also really appreciate the fact that Tony declared Ricci. He said, I'm going to make it fair for everyone. Okay, you know I'm Tenpai. you can either play Genbutsu or you can risk something.
I mean, it looks like it might as well be Chitoi too, but ugh.
A very fair play here from Tony.
Congratulations and a very nice hand. And is that all?
That's it. That's it for the.
Move to A2 then.
All right, let's do it. I mean, congrats to B1 again for having a fantastic season, giving us a lot of entertainment. I know watching a lot of those games were really good. And A2 was as well.
And A2, you'll note the next thing is there weren't bonus promotions. Noel, Kate, Jerry, Jason, and Max are the only ones going up. I know there's a bit of a fight there at the end. Max getting 3 points above Julian to survive. Came from basically nowhere. I think it was around plus 30 going into the final session. Goes on an absolute tear and sneaks into the last spot. You see a bunch of names here that honestly you shouldn't be surprised promoted. Of course, Max has been an A1 mainstay for a while. Noel joining, Kate joining, Jerry joining, Jason joining. So Noel and Kate, more live game players, very experienced, very high roll style, but pretty disciplined as well. Jerry and Jason, I believe both Ho-Oh players. And Jerry there, especially with that 28% win rate and 9% deal-in rate. Highest EV in the league, tied with Julian, who's just short. This isn't the only season Julian was just short. I think also trying to get into A1 the first time was a little short, and Claire ended up getting the bonus approach, but Julian didn't. But has been to A1 before. Will also, you figure 102.9, good enough. Not going to happen here. Even buffer space. Xiong, Lucas, and Davidas there. Just a long way back. 52.8, solid season, not nearly good enough. It is said that it is much harder to get out of A2 than it is to stay in A1. And when you look at this, it's hard to argue, at least for this season.
Yeah, honestly, especially because, as you said, it's going to be very hard for, moving forward for there to be bonus promotion spots. A1 is stuffed with players, and there's players on hiatus that will be returning, so it's really hard to get bonus promotions. You need to be in the top 5, and it was a dogfight for the promotions this season. The players that you see at the top here are not the players who were in that top position 2 sessions ago. Jason, Jerry it was at the top for quite a while, but Kate and Noel jumped in late, and Max came in, took the last session, had the last set of games played in A2, and went first to put himself in strong position, could afford to eat a fourth in the last game to just barely eke out Julian. But the storylines, there are tons of them here in the A2. ID, do you have any?
Well, let's look at the other side of this. Just Jen and Garth, JPML pros getting absolutely destroyed going down to B1. Garth, of course, missed a few games, but Jen and Garth both had very disappointing season, couldn't really get it together. It really is the deal-in rate here that got them. But overall, win hands, don't deal in much, do well, and the solid textbook play seemed to work pretty well.
Yep. And Nathaniel, as you asked, I was quite close this season to promoting to A1. I was near the top. But unfortunately, I tried to play very aggressive as they had only 1 season left, and tried to go for the high rolls. Didn't happen. But, happy to stay in A2 for, I think, the 3rd season in a row.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, I think you were around like plus 70, I want to say. And at that time,
I think it was like
90, yeah. So
or
just
something.
outside the range. But Julian finished at 100. So you know that it's not going to be enough to just to stay at 90. So you have to take some risks. But
Right.
you of course made that decision at the very end of the season when you knew exactly what your goal was to be, and it didn't work out this time. But as you can see, or as we can all see in the standings, definitely needed to take some risks in order to try to move up, because you had to get some positive points. And Max definitely took some risks there at the end, could afford to with his placement, and happened to pay out for him this time around. Max has been stuck in A2 for a few seasons now, where just nothing seems to go his way, and he's barely surviving. And it looked like it was going to happen again this season, but finally at the end of the season, got a few first put together, went from 3,872 to 6,873, and that put him through. Jason is also an interesting story. Again, really well-known player in the in-person tournament scene, and almost promoted to A1 last season, but just lost it at the end, but was able to confirm it this time around. So it's going to be good to see Jason competing in A1 this season. And Jerry has made it his goal to be in A1 from the time that he joined World Regi Pro. I know he's a Saint 3 player on Mahjong Soul, and just a very strong player in general. Performs very well in in-person tournaments too. And he is has steadily climbed his way up into A1. He's not going to be an easy opponent. Just a warning for everybody in A1. And then, of course, Kate and Noel.
Claire just barely surviving there at minus 103.
Yeah, that was another story.
As an indication of how this division
Claire
was.
needed a first place in the final game to escape relegation, and she got it. She got it with a kind of crazy hand, too. But she did barely escape. And Ian was a funny story as well. I don't think he actually was expecting to play in the A2 division, but ended up getting the bid and did survive. Got some good experience against tough opposition. I mean, this A2 is always going to be crazy. It's basically A1, a copy of A1. And some seasons it's even...
Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's anyone in this division I'd be surprised if they were in A1.
Yeah, I mean, it's the league has gotten that strong, and that's how many years have we been running this now? 3 years?
We're almost at 5.
5 years?
When we complete this season, I think then this will be season 19 upcoming of Armel.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff, and just a testament to what dedicated play will get you.
Well, we don't have any clips for A2. I will say this division had a low deal-in rate, fairly defensive table. In the past, A2 has been very aggressive because people are trying to play that condition, but just the quality of players at A2 this season was so high they had to play much stricter. And so you see that lower deal-in rate, the 13.4 average compared to league-wide with the 14. And as mentioned, I don't think we have any clips. Do we have some fancy hands?
We've got 6.
Yeah, I definitely know one.
We'll see that pretty soon. All right, Sanbaimon here. Tsuo nan haku honitsu Dora 6. Jason.
You know, that would have been Hanemon or Yakuban.
The wait one turn is right there.
Like, you don't even need to wait one turn. It would have been Yakuman either way if you just
That's
reach
true. Just hit the button. But in this case, I can certainly understand him for the Dama. And you know what? Jason didn't end up needing the Yakuman. This ended up being good enough.
You can see 2 Yakuman and a Sanbaimon, so Jason's had some pretty good hands in the past as well. We see the double Dora draw here for 6 Dora just from the 3 South, and the close Honitsu Haku as well.
How about this Daisangen?
Daisangen.
That's right. Kate getting her first Yakuman, the big 3 dragons, on the dealer seat too. Giving her
In
a
South 4 at
ridiculous
46-2, knocking the only other player under 30,000 with a big 48,000 direct here. The hand doesn't look that bad. Maybe it's Honitsu. There's a Dora. Maybe a Dora manga.
It's kind of crazy, actually. I remember when this came up. Of course, whenever Yakuman comes up, it gets posted, and everyone immediately looks at the log to see how it happened. Look at this high pie. It looks like a normal Honitsu. It has 3 dragons in it, and yet it ends with 9. The draws were insane for this hand, and Kate kept it alive, playing for the Honitsu, kept the dragons in the hand, and then just drew more of them, and ended up getting the full Daisangen. This was a big part of the reason why Kate ended up getting that promotion spot. Yakuman certainly helps.
I mean, I think this is 48 points plus the 5 from the bonus.
Yes, exactly,
So
from the
it's a
Oma
huge
difference.
difference.
We have insight in the chat from Kate. Skipped the 5-mon Pon to draw the Chun. Rewarded.
Yeah, that is a pass on the 5 across, indeed.
Rewarded heavily for the greed. All right, we saw it before. We're going to see it again. Look at this 13-sided Kokushi.
A row 1, 13-sided Kokushi Muso with 0 overflow, of course, because it can't be overflow. And
there's-
just easy game. Sometimes the hand just lines up for
I also
you.
want to point out, if you look at the high pie and compare the tiles, the non-Kokushi tiles in the high pie to the discards, there was not a single draw that did not advance this hand. Every single Tadashi is a tile that's already in the hand, which means every single draw advanced the hand forward to the Kokushi.
Just draw the right
The
tiles.
5 Shanten
Don't
wins on
get, of
turn
course,
5.
Get the gold font up there for the fancy 13-sided Yakuman. And again, it's one you deal it and you go, okay, well, whatever. It was not enough to save Kaz, who ends up demoting to B1 this season, but a beautiful hand here.
Yeah,
I feel like this might be one of the craziest hands that we've seen in Armo. I think we were talking about that in the chat because it's just so quick and so strong.
yeah, I mean, we saw.
I still stand by there is no hand that will likely ever top the turn 2 dealer Kokushi Viet had in game 24.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That the storylines behind that were also insane as well. But I think this is a pretty close competition. I mean, of course, that's crazy, but drawing perfectly into 13-sided is also just fantastic. And Kaz gets these. He gets just the wildest hands. There is a lot of Kaz lore regarding fancy hands. Oh, Jesse. Dama Jinsanmen-chan is a demotion. Richi Jinsanmen. That's promotion. Good to know. Good to know. All right, let's go to.
You must always reach your Yakuman. It's a rule.
This Kokushi wasn't quite as fancy, but it's still worth the same amount.
Bishan with a Dama, nothing to see here.
I don't know if this is the classic Bishan Dama, but it's certainly one of the Damas of all time.
Bishan, of course, is being his 3rd Yakuman. A beautiful win here. South doesn't look that scary. You see 2 of them out. It really only deals into the Kokushi. The Chun doesn't look that scary. The 2-pin maybe setting off a few flags, but this is desperate player trying to go for something for 4th place and hits it. So 32,000, and that's going to be an excellent position going into South 3.
Congrats to Bichan once again. Has won a large number of Yakuman in his very lengthy modern playing career, but it's always nice to get one in Armal. How about this one from Claire? Another South 4 Kokushi.
More Kokushi. This is Claire's first Yakuman. Has had a couple of Sanbaimon. Similarly, 0 overflow. That seems to be the theme I'm noticing.
Yeah, and the impact that this hand has, again, a crucial part of her surviving in the A2 season. This is all last. She's in 2nd place.
Without this, she just goes down.
Exactly.
Period.
Incredible hand to pull in order to survive here. Yes, the really critical hands here for these Yakuman. There's one more. Speaking of important Yakuman, Ian was in a little bit of trouble. There were 2 Richis on the board, and he was fighting. He had to pick which pair to cut. He decided to go 1-mon, and ended up pairing up or drawing an uncle of one of the other tiles, and then finding the little uncle here.
Always bet on Pei, second Yakuman for Ian. We know the two players that survived on the bubble both had Yakuman to do so.
It was that kind of season. It was that tough in A2.
Wouldn't that be nice? Just get a Yakuman. We need to avoid demotion.
This sounds like a Saki power. All right. Well, that is our A2 division. We could talk for a very long time about all the crazy things that happened to A2, but then the broadcast would be 3 hours instead of 2 hours. So we should...
Yeah, well, there's plenty of craziness in A1 coming up.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to see who was the A1 winner if people have not already become aware.
Well,
Yeah,
it was a
myself, so-
dogfight. We had one player who's just way out in front the entire season. I think 150 points clear of second place at one point, and it wasn't enough.
It was indeed not enough. And chasing down that player that was ahead was Quack! Congratulations once again for winning the A1 division.
Back to back to back. David just had complete stranglehold. Also, look at the gap between second and third here. That tells you everything you need to know.
It was honestly just a brilliant season from David from start to finish. Normally, when you finish with 339 points in A1, you're going to win.
Well, 339 points is an A1 record.
Uh,
The previous record was 329.2, I think, that Kenyon had set one season. Bati also had a 328 one season, but 339 was an Armel record.
The problem is you're going up against back-to-back champion Korak, and he's not interested in not winning A1 again. This is also the first time that we've seen back-to-back in the same calendar year. So in previous seasons, that would mean that the seat into the end-of-year championship would go to David, but now we're on the new point system, so it doesn't quite apply. But Korak, is there any achievement that you have not yet hit in A1? You're already Eternal A1, you've won the division, you've won the back-to-back now. Is there anything you're missing?
I mean, I could win back-to-back yearlies, but honestly, I was like, I'm done, and I'll be taking this season off. We'll get into more about that later, but Dave would just clear the field.
Yeah,
I think
so
it was
someone
after
else can win.
session 3 that Dave was just so far ahead of everyone else. I remember he was at my table, and both Stanley and I congratulated him on winning the league in session 3 as how much he was running away with things, and just continued climbing. And I had a really strong session 4, but he also had a strong session 4. I had a really strong session 5. He had an okay session 5. So I was closing, but I was something like 120 back going to the final session. I was like, well, I guess I'll just try and high roll, but not expecting much. And both of us play the first 2 games, and I gain 20, 30 points, something like that. So, I mean, it's positive, but I need to make up 90 points in the last 2. Not really expecting much. I have to go first. And the first game, I barely escape with a positive 3rd. The second game, I get hot. The hand just start coming.
I think you finished.
And it was enough to get a plus 6, 7. Insert obvious memes. But it's enough to close the gap, put the pressure on David, and you could tell he felt some pressure. At the same time, the hand didn't come for him in his final game. Had a double Ricci on Sanzo. Is eventually chased and deals into an Ipatsu Mongon. Takes a 4th and falls behind, tragically in the last game.
It was wild.
And ends up in second.
Because David in the 3rd game there was in a tough position, could have gotten a 4th there, and just jams. He takes an aggressive line and wins I believe the Ipatsu Pingu to move into 2nd place and make up and increase the gap even further. And then the 4th game, in one of the early hands, he gets Daisangen Tenpai. And does not get the win. If he wins that hand, it's GG. Then he gets the double Ricci, where if he wins that hand, it's GG. And then there's another hand where he gets a Tanya Tenpai with a million Ricci sticks on the board. to escape fourth place and give himself, put himself in position to claim the championship. And Ohonitsu beats him out, despite him. If he picked a Shaba Wade instead of the Yamen, somehow that would have won first. But, kept putting himself in position to win, and the tiles just wouldn't come his way. And you know what? That you both did what you needed to do. You both put yourself in a position to win. And in this case, the tiles went your way, Korak, and you get a much deserved plus 354.8 championship.
Well, the incentives of the last game were kind of weird because it was a 4-person table, 2 people were already effectively demoted, unless you just went on a super run. You had Stanley, who was holding on by the skin of his teeth, but not really in any danger, and then me, and I just go on a dealer rampage and start pushing much more aggressive than would in a normal game. Because again, I have nothing to lose. I'm down 90 points roughly going to my final game. Hit some big hands, especially Jun Chandora 2, that really started kicking things off. Close the gap, and then have to put it in the fate of what happens to David. I said in the chat for my Session 6 game, I've done what I can. All I can do is put a little pressure on and see if that's enough. It does remind me going all the way back to the Beta League. Very first season of Armel, where I'm way back, something like 85 points. No, it was more than that. It was 120 points back, I think, in my final session. I have a monster session, but I go first. And so temporarily I took first, but one game was still left to be played, and I think that was Max who ended up taking a fourth in that game, dropped to third in the Beta League, and I went on to the championship, but all I could do was get the points and set myself up because I was playing first. There's less pressure, but there's also less knowledge.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Usually we think of it as an advantage to be the last person to play, but when you're the last person to play, that also does increase the stress because you're in complete control of your fate at that point, or at least as much control as the tiles will give you, but you know exactly what you need to do. It's a really interesting.
Also, I'll say the graphic here
Yes.
is wrong. Bati is actually demotion, not Airy. You see the 25-24. Something got entered wrong by someone, so that is wrong. It is Bati going down, not Airy, along with Kevin, Jay, Michael, and
We will see
Oliver.
Ari again in the next season 8-1, assuming no hiatus. So apologies for the small error there on the graphic. But yeah,
But I feel that the number that tells the story is the average deal in. That I'm not dealing in a whole lot. 10.5% is about what I try and aim for, but the lowest deal in average along with that. It's not like David had bad deal-ins either. 8.5 is a ridiculous rate, and 39.88 isn't bad at all, but just not quite enough because my win average was enough to overtake.
honestly, it feels like I'm reading a story in the newspaper about a marathon that happened, and one player sets the world record for the marathon, and they got second. Another player also set the world record and beat the other. It's just crazy.
Well, it wasn't just that. David, going into the final session, had a legitimate chance to set the all-time Armor record in any division.
Yeah, it was that good of a
going
season.
into the final session. It was that strong. I think ended up losing something like 40 or 50 points in the final session to only end up setting an Armel A1 record at 339.
I feel like there's other players that are up here in the graphic, but really the story is just that final two. So I don't know if we need to go in too much detail about the rest. Of course, David will pick up 15 points for the race to the championship, and also points this season and for the next several seasons are going to be included in the competition towards seats at the World Riichi Championship US Qualifiers Invitational. So 4 seats will be given from Armel, and they will be given by accumulating points in A1. And that I think that those are given after the seats. The other seats are given from the other means, and so some of these players that up at the top of the standings for that race may qualify just by having good in-person results. Then it goes on to the next person. So it's going to be really exciting to see how these points accumulate over time, and we still have a couple more seasons of points to collect before that gets locked in. So good luck to all the players
But-
for that.
With that, now that we've had a repeat champion in A1, that means there will be one extra wild card guaranteed for the end of year championship. So at minimum, the top 5 non-seasonal champions will go on. Maybe more if we have other repeats. I win a later season this year, or whoever wins this season also wins the next one coming up. So there's where I am on a hiatus, foreshadowing. So with that, do we have some fancy hand? No, let's go for clip first. I think we do have at least
Yeah,
one.
there's a few to choose from, but just for the sake of time, let's do this one, which I think was the best one from the A1. It could also.
Annabella.
Lychee.
What were you thinking? Maybe Toy Toy.
Pom.
Pulled into Tempai 2-mon jam. David waits 5-8 mon. Ari waits 6-9 mon. Apin safe. Could wait on it. Oh, if you think that's coming out from a pair, it's really
Yeah.
tempting.
Lychee.
Which wait though? He has 3 Dora blockers. Says I cannot drop the 9. So and gets the Ipatsu.
No, that's it.
There was
Lychee got to cheat her Dora too. That's gonna be a Hanuman from Harrison.
at least. Okay, no, there was only one copy in the wall, and he found it on Ipatsu. Wow,
The timing.
insanity.
Now Harrison, 55,300.
And it has everything I hate together: Sumogiri Richi, Chitoitsu, and an unfortunate deal into a Harebon. At least there wasn't Ura here, but a beautiful one by Harrison. And Aerie was near the demotion line the entire season. Had a miserable first session. You can see here we're in session 3. Had managed to climb most of it back in session 2, but dealing into a dealer Hanemon here in East 3 is not going to help.
It's kind of funny that we are in round 3, and David is already at plus 280, and Korak is at plus 40. So that just goes to show how much of a gap there was to make up, and just what a dominant performance David had been having. Even though Harrison won the Hanuman here, David still would have finished with a second place, a positive second. So
Yeah, this is a 160-point gap to Zhang Yu, who hadn't even finished the session 1 games at this point. In terms of people that had played a full session, it was Amy almost 200 points back of David.
yeah. Also, David held the no fourth streak up until that last session, and then took a 4th place at 27,000 points, which is usually a third at worst. But honestly, probably deserved to go that season without a 4th, given that score at the end. Craziness.
I would say undeserved. Throwing the Sanzo out for double reach.
We've got
Well, believed in the San Zone was punished for it.
well,
A crazy season, and as I said, I did what I could. I got some really good hands and had some breaks my way, but my feeling was I should probably just take a little bit of vacation after that. So, a very intense season, high pressure for everyone, and we haven't even gotten to the fancy hands. Do we have any of those?
funny story. 0 fancy hands from A1.
A1 does
What?
not believe in Yakuman, but yes, Yakuman do not exist.
All right, Korak. It's because Korak got Tempai for a Yakuman this season. That's why no one got a Yakuman.
Not only Tempai for Yakuman, I tried to Rinshan my Suanko twice and failed. And you know what the second Condora was? It was my winning tile.
Oh no.
Game said if Korak can't win, no one can.
So A1 not fancy, but it was really the chase there at the end. David so clear of the field, and again did not have bad sessions until the last one. Still wasn't a bad session. It just wasn't a particularly good one, and I just got hot at the right time and kept getting points. But with that, we now have an update on the scores, the championship points. Do we have a graphic for that, or do we need to read them?
I do not have a graphic for that. You will have to read those.
All right, the current championship points. Korak at 50, second place Brian at 22, Harrison in third with 21, David in fourth with 15, Alfred in fifth with 12, Matthew in sixth with 9, Kevin in seventh with 7, and Nathaniel in eighth with 6. A bunch below that, but that is the current cut line to the yearly championship.
That means players in the upcoming seasons who even just get a second or a third place are going to put themselves in a very good position moving forward. So even if you're not the champion, finding yourself near the top is going to be incredibly important in the last couple of sessions for this year. All right. Well, that is the recap of everything that happened in the spring. Congratulations to all our promoting players. Commiserations to our relegators. But we will hope to see you promoting again back up into that division this round. And it's going to be exciting to see what the pairings look like for our upcoming summer session.
All right, this is when we do our fancy transition to wrap up the spring season and move to the summer season of 2026. Let's look at some pairings starting in C2. I believe we have an absolutely enormous bottom division.
Yeah, that is going to be tough. We've got this behemoth.
Let me get my magnifying glass
here?
out. I mean, I can see that there's text to the screen. Hold on, let me.
I
Control
tried.
zoom.
I made this as
400%.
big as I could.
There we go.
Apologies.
So yeah, that's everyone here. I know next to no one here. Does anyone have anything? Because I'm flailing.
It's going to be good to see Michael V get back into the league. Had, I think, previously participated in Armel before, but is going to be running it back. And yeah, there's a lot of people I just don't know. A lot of people I haven't met yet. I think
This is always the problem we have in the bottom division. We see
I
some
do
names,
know
of course,
someone
from
here.
last
Okay,
season.
give it to
All
us.
right, go for it.
So we have Anthony Spadafore, who is a Mahjong streamer as well, a VTuber. So nice to see him here.
Excellent. I see a similar last name, so related perhaps?
Yes, they are twins. They both stream.
Excellent. Oh
And I
boy,
know-
twins in Armel. That's going to be fantastic to
right?
commentate their first game against each other. Boy, I wonder who made these
Wait,
pairings.
they actually got paired together. That's awesome.
All right. We gotta find that game. We gotta watch that for sure.
Yeah, I want to point out one player that was sitting in the bottom of our column, which is Darwin Guan.
Okay.
Darwin Guan is a 7-ton 10-hole player, and he will suffer like a painful fourth last season in the very last Hanchan and getting in the negative point, which barely missed the actual promotion seed. I'm sure Darwin can make it out of C2.
Very good. We'll have our eyes on it. It's actually easy to spot all those matchups because it's right all along the bottom row here for the entirety of the match. It's also an interesting perspective if you're one of these other players that's in these divisions. Going up in your first season in Armel against Ho-Oh players is intimidating. They've got that 7-dan, 8-dan, etc. rating. Like, what are you doing here? I'm a 3Q. I'm a... You know, the ratings don't necessarily correspond to play because a lot of people play on other clients, but it can be intimidating to go up against that.
Of course, we have a bunch of people from last season in C2 that couldn't get up. It is always a dogfight, and with this many spots, you have to be a little concerned that just plus minus 0 or plus minus 10 probably is going to be good enough. because there are going to be so many people fighting. A 14th place, which was, I think, around where the cutoff was this season, is likely to be maybe plus 90, plus 100, somewhere in there, because the division is so big with 40 people.
Hmm.
I'm just going
There's
to
another
go ahead.
there's
Go ahead.
another matchup here that I'm excited for. That in column session 3, table 5, we got white versus brown. Which one will win?
But we'll have to see.
That's
And
true.
I think we need to go ahead and jump to C1 just so my eyes can focus on something that isn't 40.
All right, I'm just going to shout out one player in C2. They've already started playing games. One player, 4 games complete, 2 first, 2 seconds. Justin W at plus 72 leads the way. So that's going to be the target moving forward. All right, C2 gone, C1 up. This is a little easier to see.
Okay, this is a little more manageable here. 24 people in C1, not a small division by any stretch, but of course you see Kaysen in there. The new Matthew, I believe, from Wisconsin. Lots of promise there. I feel in terms of matchups, kind of seeing that session 5, table 5 between Matthew, Ross, Fred, and Tess should be fairly action-packed there. Of course, always supporting Blaine, who had been in the commentary. He's been out for a while, but good to see him try and pull things together. Any other names anyone else wants to shout out?
I've got a couple. Certainly watching Fred, of course, having played a lot of practice the games against him recently. Joel as well, who's popped into the chat occasionally. And it's been really cool seeing Minnesota folks really performing well at tournaments. And also, I think we probably have a couple Minnesota players joining in the C2 division that I didn't get to shout out. But Joel is one of those that promoted last season, was looking to continue promoting. Always fun to watch Scott play, Scott H. And yeah, it's going to be a good season, I think, for Division C1.
Of course, in C1, you're not just playing to get a good score and positive. You are playing for those double promotions. That's something you really need to be considering. Even in the earlier sessions, the goal is not necessarily a plus minus 0. Maybe later, but you really want to aim to put yourself in a position to potentially get that 200 by the end of the season. You have 24 games. You don't have to focus on it, but it should definitely be in the back of your mind.
I remember watching Nicholas Z play in the C1 division. It's going to be actually on stream. We got to see that. It was a really competitive game, so I am looking forward to seeing more play like that here in the upcoming summer session.
All right, let's head to B3. Okay, should be more familiar names here. Kayla, of course, one of the ones that jumps out at me, had been in A2 for a while, has kind of dropped a bit since then. Of course, Joe, always a scary player. As I said, Joe's someone I'm looking to really promote out of B3, get that run back and make a serious play back towards A2 over the course of the next year. I feel that's somebody to really keep your eye on. Sarah, of course, has been around in the scene for a long time. Currently in B3. I think a better player than B3, but we'll need to prove it in the games going forward. Any matches that jump out to you?
I'm really curious about these matchups with the double promoting players. Thomas dominated so much in the C2 division that I really want to see basically all of his matchups and see which ones look to be the most exciting. Maybe that matchup in the third round, first row there, Thomas, Kayla, Joe, and Gregory. Of course, you mentioned Kayla and Joe already as having played in the A2 or A1 divisions. And then Gregory, I believe that is World Reachy Pro Gregory, who has had a lot of good results on the World Reachy channel streams of the World Rookie League minors that happened in Sparrow's Nest. So if you want to watch him play live, see what kind of player he is, you can certainly do that on the World Reach channel. But it's going to be a competitive matchup. I think that round 3, table 1.
Of course, I'll see Lewis in here, who's definitely paid a lot of attention to the What We Do channel, contributes fairly regularly there. And when I look at the matchups here, so what one really jumps out? I feel at the session 6, table 5 game, Sarah, Paul, Charlie, and Joe. Again, just feels like a direct fight. Not too much subtlety, just big hands and aggressive play.
Oh, look, Xiao's in this division. How about session 4, table 5, Kayla, Paul, Xiao, and Sheng, who also got the double promotion out of the C1 division, or C2.
Definitely interesting. I think if you're interested in improving your Mahjong skill, you can just watch all Xiao's games. Definitely gonna learn something from.
That's true. You don't get to 10 done by accident.
Yeah.
Oh, also May's in this section as well. That first round with Xiao and May fighting against each other is going to be fun.
We have Thomas and Xiao in the round 2, table 1 as well.
Excellent. Should be a lot of good matchups here. There's Ramel, there's Maxwell, there's Michaels. Yeah, this is going to be a good division to watch here in B3.
All right, well, with that, let's head to B2. And you get plenty of names that you should recognize here. Alon, Hanley, Danny, Takahiro. Why don't we talk about Taka for a bit?
The
But I think
unluckiest player in
someone
Armor?
is just constant underperformance in Armel, season after season after season. I think sniffed A2 once, but I'm not sure. But had been stuck in the middle B division for a long time. B3 forever, as I recall. Eventually got to B2. Finally started going on a run and back to B2 now.
Yeah, I just always think about the insanely low Udon rates, the number of Baimon Oyakaburis, when I think about Taka's play. But it looks like he's off to a good start so far in the B2 division this time around. So maybe this is the season. Also, Max here in the B2 division is going to be really competitive against Alon and Caden and Cyrus here and Jinan and also Andy. Actually, this first table here, Cyrus, Jinan, Edwin, Andy is quite interesting. I played 2 of those players in a match recently in a tournament in Kansas City, and that was a really competitive match that Andy ended up winning. And I believe this will be equally exciting. I think they've already played a couple games of that series, but yeah, there's going to be some good matchups here. Let me scan.
Yeah, Josue, who got the double promotion out of the C1 division, but I feel the game that jumps to my eyes is session 1, table 4, Max, Alon, Caden, and Peter. Any table with Alon and Caden, who I think both came from B1 and got demoted, this is the salty run back that I expect both of those to get back out.
Yeah, that's definitely one that jumps out as well. Curious to see how the Josephs do in this division.
That sounds like a commentator's curse table. Joseph, and Josue.
Are they playing each other in that fashion?
1-1.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Josue is going to be fun to watch here in the B2 division. It's not just that matchup, but just all throughout is going to have some good ones. I want to see the Josue versus Max battle.
Of course, Cyrus as well has been involved. Danny, I know, has done some development work on the
Rishi Advanced.
Rishi Advanced.
That's right. I actually have been looking at that more closely. I want to dig into that because I just found out that you can make Richi tutorials in that program. I'm like, that is fantastic. I want to make some Richi tutorials. So heads up, Danny, I might be contacting you. Cyrus as well, shout out to him for posting so much what would you do, so many interesting what would you do's. It's always fun to have interesting questions posed. Questions that make people debate, because those ones are the ones that are good.
All right. Well, I think let's head to B1 now.
All right, moving to B1.
This is another where we go. Wait, this is B1? Yes, it is. Welcome, Max and Garth and Jen specifically, along with plenty of other players. This is the division with Rachel, Kaz, Will, who I've been expecting to climb for a while, is now in B1. Eric, Josh has been a mainstay for a while. Matthias has been climbing. Barb just barely didn't make it up. Quinn, who'd been in A1 a couple seasons ago. Peter, who I know personally from CCR. Just enjoy.
The number of pros that are represented in the B1 division is actually insane.
Yeah, no shortage of them, but I think there's no way around the 3-3 match as the one that's going to draw the eyes. Quinn from A1, Jen and Garth, enough said, and then Gary as well. I mean, there are a bunch of really good matchups. In terms of ones that I think could just turn into pure chaos, Session 5, Table 2, Andrew, Rachel, Jen, and Max. That feels like one that doesn't derail because it's never on track in the first place.
It's a really interesting battle. We have Andrew and Rachel, West Coast players. Rachel, famously aggressive. Max, famously defensive. Jen, kind of in the middle, leans defensive. Andrew, in the middle, leans offensive. It's like the perfect spectrum of play styles here in the B1 division. It's going to be a good one.
My experience has always been that when you have a bunch of defensive players, the one aggressive player just steamrolls the table.
I am very excited to watch any match that involves Yukfai. He is really strong, and he is performing very well in lots of online events as of late. It's going to be good to see him play. I'm curious about this matchup in Session 2. Table 5 at the bottom, Yukfai, Donald, Garth, Max. Another one that's going to be fun to watch. And of course, anything with Rachel. This also Table 5, Session 4 in the green at the bottom. Rachel, Donald, Will, and Barb. That is a spicy one. Rachel, of course, aggressive. Donald, the same. Barb, the same. And Will is aggressive, though maybe a little bit more reserved than these other names, but definitely.
Will's aggressive for 2016. The playstyle was much more restrained by everyone back then. And Will is one of the older players. Not quite as long as I've been playing, but I definitely knew him from way back. So he is on the more aggressive side, but has not updated the style as much, so will look very passive compared to the rest of this table. He is not what I call a passive player, but compared to the rest of this, definitely. Another name we haven't mentioned is Mohan.
Oh, absolutely.
B1.
Yeah, this is Mohan and Daniel battle. Do they face each other? Session 2, Table 2. Mohan, Daniel is going to be a fun, like, A2 style battle alongside Barb and Andrew here in the B1 division. It's going to be good.
And of course, the snake ladder there on the end will depend on how people are doing. Now that we're down to 20 players, you have the 5 sessions lined up, and then depending on your placement, it'll determine how you do in session 6 and who you play there. Well, with that, let's go ahead and head to A2.
Back up to 24 players.
Yeah, welcome to A2.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Not too much. I'm going to say the one that jumps out at me the first is what sounds fun. Session 2, Table 3. Garrick, Claire, need I say more?
No.
Lucas,
Oh, boy.
Caleb.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
just in case you didn't think it was enough there, we're also going to throw Lucas in there, and then Caleb to top it off.
Yeah, Caleb's on a hot streak in ARM, has been promoting like crazy. So this is going to be a fun challenge, I'm sure.
That may not even be Lucas's craziest match. Look at session 4, table 3. Mark, Botti, Lucas, and Oliver.
Hey, we're back in A1.
That is, yeah, 3 of those players from A1 regulars. And then Mark, you just kind of sit there, try and lay low and snipe, pick up some points all along the way. Similarly, Chaos, again, Lucas just gets a mess of a season. The very next session with Tony, Dennis, and Tucker. And any table with Dennis is just fun.
For sure. I'm curious, because we have 2 players here.
Do we have Dustin and Dennis at the same table?
We do. It is with Body and Claire.
Yep.
Okay, we have to broadcast those.
That's a table of all time for sure.
But we have 3 players in A2. What am I saying? All right, Dustin. Any other one here that you want to shout out from your own series?
Well, I mean, you're shouting out all these tables with Lucas, so I mean, a little bit of a spoiler. When we play that first set with Lucas, and unfortunately, he was the only one to lose points in that session.
Well,
Fortunately for me, I'm the winner.
Things are getting better for him when I look at these matchups.
I tell you what, Lucas. I give Lucas a pass. He just hit 9-don again on Tenho, so he used up all his flow for that.
Yeah, flow's gone.
What I'm looking forward
okay, so I'll throw Irie here one in session 6. They're on the top right.
Ooh.
With Tony, Koichi, and Ziyang.
Honestly, I love playing with Koichi. It's always so much fun. The other players are kind of scary. I mean, Koichi is scary too. I just don't know them as well.
It's one thing to go against a strong player that you know is strong and also very charismatic. It's another thing to go against players that are an unknown quantity of strong that you just don't have the experience against. So.
Also, there are a whole bunch of DC players, now that I'm noticing this, in A2. We talked about Irie, Dustin, and Dennis. There's also Kevin, who isn't in the DC area anymore, but I think still associates with the club. So a whole bunch of action. And again, a whole bunch of people that are in A1, and even a pretty good section of people we'd call A1 regulars.
I bet you could find a couple tables here fully composed of people who have played in A1.
I'm excited for the session 4. That's gonna be fun. Session 3 is gonna be scary. We got session 5 with Dustin, my pupil. Be fun to play against Dustin again. It's always fun when we play together.
Of course.
All right, I gotta hear from Biggie. Welcome back.
Wow. Yeah, I'm back. Watch every single game Bingy plays if you want to learn something of Mahjong. It's not randomly get up C on the commentator position.
Any of these matchups that look that you're excited for or afraid of or what have you?
Well, I'm pretty interesting in session 4, table 1, which I can face 3 like present or former DC players, which is gonna be funny. And also, I need
the DC run back.
Well, yeah. And I have to mention the table I play with Carl.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
3 is table 2, which I have Dustin sitting there as well. Well, Carl is a good player. I've take a look on him, since he's impressed me on the first game I watched. It's pretty good.
Well, and I think I think that session 2 game.
Fabulous run as well.
That session 2 game at the very bottom, Koichi, Michael, Bingy, and Tucker. That sounds like a fun one too. Now we could go on this for a while, but I want to try and time box this in 2 hours, so we need to head to A1.
Okay, we're gonna skip Jesse. We'll come back to this conversation later in Discord, but let's go to A1.
And I'm missing. This will be the second time ever I'm not in A1. I did demote out once, but this is my first hiatus. So I figure I'll let everyone else have a chance. So like I'm back to back to back. Smile.
It was so kind of you, so generous.
Yes. Well, speaking
So
of
humble, so
Nathaniel,
humble.
what do you think of your session 2 table?
Let's see. Ari Harrison Kenyon. No thanks. You can ship that one right back to the pairings master. And
That
yes,
doesn't even look like the toughest session 2 table. Look at the bottom.
the bottom of that session there, Brian, Barry, Cliff, what? 2 Brians and a Barry? Oh boy.
And 3 W's with the last name.
Now hang on a second. These are 3 Ho-Oh players.
Yeah, that being my point.
Yeah. Yeah, if we have to cast this not just for the commentary confusion, but just because it's gonna be a good series.
Okay, what about, speaking of good series, maybe with some chaos and flavor, session 5 table 3.
Steve, Brian, Kate, Noel. Ah, yep, you found the series, the must-watch series. Kate versus Noel is already crazy enough. Add Brian and Steve to that mix, and you've got the recipe for a bomb to go off. We'll see just how explosive that series ends up being when we get to session 5.
Well, how do
And
you
this
feel
is-
about snakes?
They actually haven't had as much success in A1 as you might expect, but the way that the meta is trending, I'm very curious to see how it's going to go this time around.
Well, what about your session 4 table?
Oh dear.
Yeah, that looks really interesting. We have Brian, Matthew.
Oh,
and Harry.
okay. This is going to be the one. If you're going to cast any of my tables, okay, cast this one. I always lose to Brian because he refuses to let me win a hand. And occasionally he wins a hand, but anytime I get Tempai, he'll just hold my winners. And then you have Matthew, who is just
Matthew just Zimo whenever.
at the end of the last season, it looked like he was going to demote, and then he just went win,
Matthew
win, win,
was
win.
doomed to demote. He was at minus 180 going to the final session and had a plus 140 final to come back from nowhere.
And of course,
I
Jerry.
think Harrison was trying to make a run towards challenging David for the championship and just couldn't get anything, and Matthew stole all the points from that table.
I also really enjoyed playing against Jerry. The first time I met him, we actually were playing in an online tournament. It was a placement-based tournament, and after our games were over, we would watch the games that were still going on together, and we agreed on every single decision. It was the same brain, so it'll be very fun to have that same brain competing against each other.
We haven't even talked about some genuinely fun matchups. What about session 4, table 5? Max, Barry, Noel, and Amy. Any table with Amy is, you catch her on a good day, you just all lose. You catch her on a bad day, you get some points.
That's going to be a great table. I want to see Max rejoin A1. I want to see the Max, David, Steve, and Xiangyu matchup in session 2, table 3.
And we could honestly go over every single
I
match
really
in this
could.
division. This is one of the harder seasons of A1. I feel last season was a little weaker, and you saw that with some of the separation in the A1 points. But when you look at the people that came into A1 this season, it's not so fun. I am glad I am taking off, and I get to sit here and sip a drink and watch the rest of you fight for it. I am already to the championship. I will enjoy watching a whole bunch of these games.
Yeah, they're going to be great. I want to run 2 streams. One regular broadcast, which we've normally been doing on Wednesdays, but that might actually change this season. And then I want to run a second broadcast that just watches the A1 games.
All right. Well, with that, I think we should go ahead and wrap things up here. I think this is the 19th season. I see Ember saying this is the 20th. I think that's wrong.
I think that
because we
includes...
started in winter. The beta season was the equivalent of winter 2022. This is the 3rd season of the year. We haven't had 5 seasons. I wonder if there's a championship being considered as one of the seasons, which isn't right. I am almost certain this is season 19 overall. But with that, there are going to be some crazy fights up and down Armel. Stay tuned as we broadcast once a week at least. Perhaps there will be more. I'll be available a little bit more, although Tuesdays and Wednesdays aren't great for me. But we're going to try and get some more action in here, and there will be fights everywhere. Matchups crazy, comebacks, maybe see an A1 Yakuman at some point. Now that I'm out of there, it has to happen, right?
Surely. This is going to be a really fantastic season. Really looking forward to broadcasting sport games for all of you, and hope that everyone will tune in to see some awesome Armel action.
All right, with that, good luck to everyone in summer
Good
26.
luck.
Have fun, and we hope to see you going forward. Bye, everyone.
Bye.